Hello everyone, this is Melody with designbymelody.com, here today to share a scrapbooking process with you. This layout is titled Enjoy the Simple Days. I'm using the Studio Calico November kit. I only added 4 supplies to this kit. It's the first layout I made with this kit, so I primarily really tried to focus on using just the kit. I ended up adding Doodlebug design sprinkles in Lily White, which you will see in a moment. Also Memento Ink and Tuxedo Black, some Recollections Alphas and Black Licorice to mix in with the alphas that were in the kit, as well as Technique Tuesday story cards in red. You will see all these elements come out. This box at the top of the screen here is where I keep a lot of my just small embellishments, or I have a lot of journaling cards in here. I have all of my enamel dots. I have frames. I have all kinds of things in there. Also have some 6x6 pads. This is just what I like to bring over to my desk. I have a whole cabinet of supplies, but I like to bring this little box over to my desk just to, make sure I'm using up some additional supplies that have been in my stash for quite some time, as well as sometimes it, invokes a little bit of inspiration as well. So I'm using this clock paper. I used the background as the frame paper, and I ended up backing it on white. It just seemed like the edges needed a little bit more definition. My first thought was to stitch around, but in the end I do not complete the layout by doing that. I like the way it turned out on its own. So the whole idea of this layout is to enjoy the simple days. This was just an everyday photo of my boys. In front of the computer having fun. So I used the clock paper kind of as just a thought of, time flies by, enjoy the days that you have, the simple days that you have. I really wanted to use a couple of these different papers, and this red was just a perfect pop of color to mix in with the whites, the grays, the blacks, and the blues. It was a perfect complement to the colors, especially since it's a black and white photo. It's a great way to kind of add just a pop of color without being so overwhelming. Doing a bit of layering here with all of these papers. I did not really measure them. I just eyeballed them and then cut them out with my scissors. These are all the embellishments that came in the kit. There is this tag, and I really was inspired to use it, but I just couldn't seem to make it work. So I'm going through all of the embellishments just to see if there's anything that stands out to me as something I, should use or want to use. I'm just going to go through here and just kind of fiddle for a little bit and see if anything pops out at me. I really like these wood veneer. They're very, very thin, which make perfect complement to a page without it being so bulky because they are so thin. I believe I've been a subscriber, I think, since August, and I believe that this is the first stamp set that's come in the kit that I really like. All the other ones have been kind of not very exciting, not very, just not something I would use. But this stamp set at this point I've only used the kit to make 2 layouts, and I have used the stamp set continuously in both layouts. I really like the sentiment that says, "I love this." A lot of the times I scrapbook pages because I love them. I like the pictures. I want to make sure they're on pages. These are those Technique Tuesday story cards that I mentioned. They're in red. I'm going to use them, I'm going to use one of them as a place to stamp my sentiment that I love this. And then also it has a pop of red that matches that red paper in my layering. Just moving things around to see what looks good. I want a lot of the papers to peek out the top and the bottom, but I don't want it to be so overwhelming and quite so bold. So I just got small pieces of each paper, so you can see what they are, but they're not the main focal point. They're just layered behind the photo. That's the first time I actually used that stamp, and I was very happy to see that it very nicely stamps, even without having to be primed or, you know, roughed up just a little bit. Like some stamps have to be done that way. I am trying to glue all this down without moving it too terribly much, and it worked out okay. It's not exactly the same way I had it when I first laid down, but it was close enough to still have the same concept. I'm also, if you notice in my layering, I'm mixing papers going vertically as well as horizontally to kind of have a nice balance. And this is where those lily or white sprinkles come into play. I'm going to go through all my enamel dots first to see what I have. Then I'm going to go back to the lily ones. Excuse me, the lily white ones. It's the only set I have. I really enjoy these Doodlebug design ones because you get so many different sizes all in the same color, because what typically happens, with the exception of probably that one enamel dot set that you see, I end up using all the small ones up first, and then I don't use the big ones, or not as frequently anyways. So I really like the Doodlebug design sets because you get so many. They're all in the same color, but that's fine with me. I use white all the time. I end up typically using a lot of the same colors all the time. So these are definitely going to be something that I start stocking up on. They're just so versatile, and like I said, you get so many of them, you can continuously use them. Here I'm kind of going through some of the different tags and cut aparts that I have in my box here, just looking to see what red kind of matches. I felt like I needed, in this small cluster, embellishment cluster I'm going to do on the bottom left, I needed a bit of red to first of all coordinate with the rest of the page, but also to, you know, balance out the red in the other parts of the page. If there wasn't any red down here, it would just look strange to have red up around my photo. This layout, I end up using a lot of these stickers. I believe I either use 7 or 8 of them in this one layout, which is actually a lot for me. So I was pleased with how well I could make them work. I use that round or oval scalloped layer sticker as a layer between the red banner and the red sticker. It was enough to break it up. It's not the exact same red, but it's a coordinating red. It's just one is, the paper is a little bit of a bolder red, and the sticker that's on top of that label is a little bit more of a, I guess, a matte red in a sense. Still looking through everything to see what works. I'm adding an enamel dot down here to tie in with the enamel dots up there by the photo. And what that sticker says, you'll see it at the end, but it says, I think it says rating, and then it had 5 stars. So I just put an enamel dot on each star to kind of, you know, fill it in as a 5-star rating. These glitter stickers, or glitter alphas rather, came in the kit. I really like them. They're very flat. And at first I thought the glitter was really gonna fall off. It falls off a little bit, but honestly it's not as much as I would have thought. There was glitter in the package when I opened it, but after doing this layout and cleaning up, there's not glitter left on my desk. So to me that's pretty good, especially after I was handling them so much. Still trying to determine what my title is going to be. So I left out the, because it's such a minor, not insignificant, but such a, it's not a main focus of my title. I'm going to use some smaller alphas to fill that word in. I like to mix and match the different types of alphas and different size of alphas, so just adds a little bit of interest without being so block. Doesn't look like such a big block or so boxy or just so bold either, especially since a lot of these alphas are larger. And I have, I think, 4 sheets of this alpha set. It's a Recollections alphas in black licorice. I bought a ton of these and used them to label boxes that I have up on my shelf. These go on the spine. They're kind of like flat boxes, but they're bigger. These alphas I use on the spine of those boxes, so when they're up on the shelf I can see what's in those boxes without having to pull each one off and see what the label is on the front. I can still see what's in each box. So I have a ton of these alphas, these little tiny ones. Just kind of staggering my title so it's not all, you know, left or lined up to the left of the page. I wanted it to kind of go stair step down. Really making it a point to try to add more things to my layouts. I just recently purchased 2 new albums and was putting my layouts in my album, and I go through phases. I realize that I do not scrapbook chronologically, first of all, but I realized that as I was putting those layouts in there, I have very distinct styles and they change over time. So I'm really trying to branch out a little bit, use a couple more ideas. I've considered going and finding a couple sketches to use. I haven't done that yet. I've just been trying to come up with my own ideas, but I think I'm going to try to look into using a couple different sketches just to see if there's, you know, other things that can inspire me to be a little bit different. This was a long rectangular sticker that had a arrow, or yeah, an arrow print on it, and I just kind of trimmed it down, cut off the ends to make it an actual arrow at the end instead of it being squared off. And then I'm using the small little pieces I cut off to tie into the other parts of the layout so it all looks cohesive. And I like how the line under the title, first of all, kind of makes it to where the title is not so floating, it doesn't look like it's just floating, and then it also points directly to the photo. And then at the bottom of the photo, I'm going to add another one that points to the left, which kind of takes your eye down to that embellishment cluster in the bottom left. And then on top of the one at the bottom left, there's a small strip of it pointing to the right, so it kind of takes your eye throughout the layout. Like I said, I end up using a good amount of these stickers that came in the kit. I felt like that small section right under the title just kind of didn't make a whole lot of sense to why there was just a line there, so I'm using this label sticker going off the page to kind of make it seem more purposeful. And I'll save the other half of that label sticker for another layout. Thinking, thinking, thinking. I'm building up this bottom cluster because there are so many layers behind the photo. It seemed like the bottom cluster needed a little bit more bulking up. And I'm also trying to tie in if I have a bluish color down in the bottom left in that cluster, and then I need to put it up by the photos, and then I already had that under the title, so it kept the elements consistent. I don't necessarily try to put everything in every cluster or every part of the page, but I do try to make it cohesive looking. And in this layout, because there are not very many colors, that's what just ended up working. Here's where I'm using the scraps of that arrow to just embellish the photo a little bit more. Even though it's another paper layer, it almost acts as an embellishment because it's not necessarily part of the layering itself. And that's what kind of draws your eye around the page. All right. Well, we're nearing the end of the layout here. I'm going to fiddle a little bit more, and I'm using another sticker to kind of, again, bulk up this embellishment cluster at the bottom. You'll be able to see close-ups of all of these of all parts of this page at the end of the video, so you can see exactly how it looks completed. If you want to see more still shots, please visit my blog at www.designbymelody.com, where I'll share this layout as well as other layouts. And here is a straight-on shot, and then of course different pieces of the layout that you'll see. All right, well, thank you for joining me today. Until next time, bye.